Late afternoon sunlight spilled across the living room floor, soft gold stretching over the rug, climbing gently up the couch cushions. The house felt peaceful. Safe. Unhurried. Outside, a breeze moved through the maple trees, their shadows swaying across the walls like slow brushstrokes. On the rug near the window lay Cooper. His chin rested between his paws. Ears relaxed. Breathing steady. But his eyes were open. Watching. Across from him, 8-year-old Ion sat cross-legged, carefully stacking wooden blocks into a tower that leaned slightly to the left. He hummed to himself. Softly. Off-key. Normally, Cooper would be right beside him. He'd nudge the blocks with his nose. Or rest his heavy head on Ion's lap. Or let out a playful huff when the tower fell. Today, he stayed still. Not distant. Not withdrawn. Just thoughtful. Ion paused and looked up. Cooper? The dog's tail tapped once against the floor. Slow. Gentle. Ion crawled closer. The sunlight caught in Cooper's fur, turning the brown into warm honey tones. His collar glinted softly. You okay, buddy? He reached out and placed his small hand on Cooper's head. Cooper closed his eyes for a moment, leaning into the touch. But then he did something unusual. He lifted his head slowly and pressed his forehead against Ion's chest. Not playful. Not heavy. Intentional. Ion froze, surprised by the weight of the moment. You're sad, he whispered. From the kitchen doorway, Ion's mother, Layla, watched quietly. She had been drying her hands on a towel. Now she wasn't moving at all. Something about the scene felt different. Not alarming. Just meaningful. Cooper stayed there, resting against the boy. Breathing slow. His eyes half closed. As if listening. As if waiting. Layla stepped closer. Everything okay in here? She asked softly. Ion nodded without looking up. He's sad, Mom. Layla smiled gently. I don't think dogs get sad like that, sweetheart. But even as she said it, she wasn't completely sure. Because Cooper hadn't been quite himself all week. He still ate. Still wagged his tail. Still went on walks. But there was a quietness to him now. A pause. He followed Ion more closely. Sat near him during homework. Slept outside his bedroom door at night, something he hadn't done since Ion was much younger. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. Almost protective. Ion wrapped his arms around Cooper's neck. The dog exhaled slowly, a warm breath against the boy's shoulder. And in that breath, there was something steady. Grounded. Purposeful. That evening, as the sky turned pink and orange, Cooper stayed unusually close again. When Ion went to wash his hands before dinner, Cooper followed. When Ion climbed into his chair at the table, Cooper lay directly beneath it. Layla and her husband Sam exchanged a glance. You notice he's glued to him lately? Sam murmured. Layla nodded. I thought maybe I was imagining it. Sam watched as Cooper shifted slightly, adjusting himself so his body touched Ion's feet. The boy giggled. He likes my socks. But Cooper wasn't playing. He was steady. Anchored. Later that night, after dishes were done and bedtime stories read, Ion brushed his teeth while Cooper sat just outside the bathroom door. Waiting. When Ion climbed into bed, Cooper circled once, then lay down with a soft thump beside him instead of outside in the hallway. Ion smiled sleepily. You can stay. Layla stood at the doorway for a moment, watching them. The bedside lamp cast a warm glow across the room. Soft shadows. Calm air. Cooper's eyes were open again. Not restless. Aware. Layla stepped inside and sat gently on the edge of the bed. She ran her fingers through Ayan's hair. You feeling okay, honey? He nodded. Yeah. Just tired. Tired how? He shrugged. Just tired. Cooper's ears twitched slightly. Layla noticed that tiny reaction. She leaned down and kissed Ayan's forehead. No fever. Nothing obvious. Still, something lingered. After lights were off and the house went quiet, Cooper didn't sleep right away. He lifted his head, looked at the boy, listened to his breathing. Slow. Even. Then he rested his chin gently on the edge of the mattress, as if keeping watch. Morning came with pale blue light through the curtains. Ayan moved slower than usual getting dressed. He sat on the edge of the bed for a long moment before standing. Cooper stood immediately. Close. Always close. At breakfast, Ayan pushed his cereal around the bowl. Not hungry? Sam asked. A little. Cooper sat beside him, eyes fixed not on the food, but on the boy's face. Reading. Watching. Later that afternoon, when Ayan lay on the couch instead of playing outside, Cooper climbed up carefully and curled beside him. He rested one paw lightly across Ayan's arm. A gentle pressure. A quiet connection. Layla felt it then. Not fear. Not panic. But awareness. She sat on the coffee table and studied both of them. Maybe we should take him in, she said softly. Cooper? Sam asked. No. She shook her head slowly. Ayan. Sam looked surprised. He seems fine. I know. And that was the strange part. He did seem fine. But Cooper's behavior. It wasn't random. It wasn't mood. It was focused. As if the dog understood something the rest of them didn't. That evening, Ayan once again pressed his forehead to Cooper's. Why are you sad? He whispered. Cooper's tail tapped gently. Not sadness. Not weakness. Something else. Something steady. And as the warm light faded from the windows, and the house settled into evening quiet, one thing became clear. Cooper wasn't withdrawing. He wasn't fading. He was responding. And what the vet would later discover about Cooper's quiet devotion would explain everything. The next morning arrived quietly. Soft gray light filtered through the kitchen curtains. Coffee steamed gently on the counter. The house moved at its usual rhythm. But something had shifted. Cooper was already awake. He wasn't pacing. He wasn't restless. He was simply watching. Ayan shuffled into the kitchen, hair messy, eyes half open. Morning, he mumbled. Cooper stood immediately. Not excited. Not bouncing. Just present. He walked beside the boy step for step until Ayan reached his chair. Normally, Cooper would wait near the doorway. Today, he settled directly beside him. Close enough that their shoulders almost touched. Ayan picked up his spoon. He stirred his cereal slowly. Slower than usual. Layla noticed. You still tired? She asked gently. A little. He shrugged. Cooper lifted his head at the word tired. His ears twitched. His gaze sharpened, not alarmed, just attentive. Sam folded his newspaper. He stayed in your room all night again, he said quietly. Layla nodded. I know. There was no fear in the room. Just awareness. Subtle. After breakfast, Ayan usually rushed outside with a soccer ball. But that morning, he walked to the living room instead. Sat down. And leaned back into the couch cushions. Cooper followed instantly. He jumped up gently, careful, measured, and lay beside the boy. Not on him. Beside him. One paw resting lightly across Ayan's arm. A quiet anchor. Ayan didn't move it away. Instead, he placed his small hand over Cooper's paw. "You're still sad," he whispered. Cooper blinked slowly. Then leaned his head into Ayan's shoulder. Layla stood in the doorway again. Watching. This wasn't sadness. It wasn't withdrawal. It was focus. As if Cooper was studying something only he could sense. Later that afternoon, Ayan worked on homework at the dining table. His pencil paused mid-sentence. He blinked hard. Rubbed his forehead. Cooper, who had been lying a few feet away, stood immediately. Walked over. Pressed his nose gently against Ayan's elbow. Held it there. Still. Listening. Feeling. Layla stepped closer. Headache? Just a little, Ayan replied. Nothing dramatic. No tears. No panic. Just a small discomfort. But Cooper didn't move. He stayed close. Eyes fixed on the boy's face. As if memorizing it. Sam exhaled quietly. You think we're overthinking this? Layla didn't answer right away. Because deep down, she felt something too. Not danger. Not urgency. But a whisper of intuition. That night at dinner, Ayan ate less than usual. He wasn't complaining. He just seemed quieter. Cooper lay under the table again. Body pressed gently against the boy's legs. Grounded. Present. After dishes were done, Ayan curled up with a book. The lamp cast warm amber light across the room. Soft shadows danced on the walls. Cooper rested his chin on Ayan's knee. Didn't blink much. Didn't sleep. Just stayed. Layla knelt in front of them. Ayan, how long have you been feeling tired? The boy thought for a moment. Maybe a few days. Anything else? He hesitated. My head feels heavy sometimes. Cooper shifted slightly closer. As if confirming it. Layla placed her hand gently on Ayan's cheek. Cool skin. No fever. Nothing obvious. Still. She made the call. The pediatrician answered calmly. Appointment scheduled for 2 days later. Routine. Simple. When Layla hung up, she turned. Cooper was watching her. Their eyes met. And for a brief moment, it felt like a silent agreement. You felt it too. The following evening, as sunset painted the sky in soft pink and gold, Ayan stood by the window. He looked smaller somehow. Not physically, but energetically. Cooper stood beside him. Shoulder touching knee. Steady contact. You don't have to be sad, Ayan said softly. Cooper looked up at him. Eyes warm. Intent. And then he did something new. He gently pressed his nose against Ayan's wrist. Held it there. Very still. As if counting something. As if measuring something. Layla's breath caught slightly. Not in fear. But in realization. This wasn't emotional comfort. This was observation. Deep, biological awareness. Cooper wasn't reacting to mood. He was responding to something subtle, internal, unseen. That night, Cooper didn't just sleep beside the bed. He placed his chin carefully on the mattress edge again, close to Ayan's chest, listening to each breath. Steady, measured, protective in the gentlest way. The house fell into silence. Moonlight filtered softly through the curtains, silver and calm. And in that quiet room, with one small boy asleep and one loyal dog keeping watch, the mystery didn't feel frightening. It felt tender, purposeful, as if love itself was leaning in closer. The appointment was only 2 days away, but somehow, it felt like Cooper was already waiting for the answer. The morning of the appointment arrived with soft blue light, the kind that makes everything feel calm, even when your thoughts are not. Ayan sat at the kitchen table, slowly tying his sneakers. He wasn't upset. He wasn't nervous. Just quiet. Cooper stood beside him, watching. When Ayan finished tying the second lace, Cooper leaned forward and gently nudged his shoulder. Ayan smiled faintly. "I know. You're coming too." In the car, the world passed by in warm streaks of sunlight and shadow. Trees lined the road. Wind brushed softly against the windows. Ayan rested his head against the seat. Cooper sat upright beside him, not panting, not distracted, just steady. His eyes never wandered far from the boy's face. Layla glanced in the rearview mirror. She saw it again. That focus. Not worry. Not fear. Purpose. The pediatric clinic was bright and welcoming. Soft pastel walls. Children's drawings taped near the reception desk. A faint scent of disinfectant mixed with something floral. Ayan sat in a blue plastic chair, swinging his feet lightly. Cooper lay at his side, chin resting on his paws. But his ears moved constantly. Every small sound, every shift in Ayan's breathing. When the nurse called his name, Cooper stood immediately, as if he had been waiting for that exact moment. Inside the exam room, paper crinkled beneath Ayan as he climbed onto the table. Layla rubbed his back gently. "You okay?" "Yeah." Cooper stepped forward and placed his front paws lightly against the edge of the table. "Not climbing. Just close enough to touch." The doctor entered with a warm smile. "Good morning." She shook hands gently, then looked at Ayan. "And who is this loyal friend?" "Cooper," Ayan said proudly. "He thinks I'm sad." The doctor chuckled softly. "Well, let's see what Cooper might be noticing." Her tone was kind, curious, unhurried. She began the exam slowly, listening to Ayan's heartbeat, checking his eyes, testing reflexes. Cooper didn't bark, didn't whine. He simply stood there, muscles still, eyes tracking every movement. When the stethoscope touched Ayan's chest, Cooper tilted his head slightly. When the doctor pressed gently against Ayan's abdomen, Cooper stepped half a step closer. Not aggressive. Protective. Measured. The doctor noticed. "He's very attentive." Layla nodded. "He's been like that all week." The doctor sat back on her stool. "What changes have you noticed?" Layla described the tiredness, the headaches, the quietness, and Cooper's constant presence. The doctor listened carefully. Then she turned toward Ayan. "Have you felt dizzy at all?" "Maybe once." "Any stomach pain?" "Not really." The doctor nodded slowly. "Nothing here is alarming," she said gently. "But I'd like to run a few simple blood tests, just to be thorough." The word thorough felt comforting. Not urgent, just careful. As the nurse prepared the small tray for blood work, Ayan's fingers tightened slightly. Cooper noticed instantly. He lifted his head and pressed his nose against the boy's knee. Held it there. Steady warmth. "You're okay," Layla whispered. The needle was quick. A small pinch. Ayan winced, then relaxed. Cooper didn't move away. Didn't panic. He stayed grounded. Eyes locked on Ayan's face. As if reading it. Memorizing it. After the test, Ayan slid off the table. He looked tired again. Not dramatically. Just subtly. The doctor smiled gently. "Results should be back in a day or two." Layla nodded. "Thank you." In the hallway, Cooper walked pressed against Ayan's leg. Not pulling. Not dragging. Matching his pace exactly. In the car, Ayan leaned his head against Cooper's side. "See? I'm fine." Cooper blinked slowly. But he didn't relax completely. Not yet. Back at home, the house felt quieter than usual. Waiting has a sound. It's soft. Almost invisible. But it fills the space. That evening, Ayan skipped soccer practice. He didn't argue. He just said he was tired. Cooper curled beside him on the couch again, paw resting lightly across the boy's arm. Layla sat nearby, pretending to read but watching them both. Sam lowered his voice. "You think it's something serious?" "I don't know," she replied honestly. "But I'm glad we came in." The sky outside turned golden. Then orange. Then deep blue. Inside, lamplight warmed the room. Cooper lifted his head suddenly. Ayan had closed his eyes. Just resting. Breathing slow. Cooper leaned closer. Nose near his wrist again. Still. Listening. Sam noticed this time. "He keeps doing that." Layla nodded. "He does." Neither of them said it out loud. But both felt it. Cooper wasn't acting emotional. He wasn't reacting to sadness. He was tracking something physical. Something internal. As night settled over the house, Cooper returned to his post beside the bed. Chin resting gently on the mattress edge. Eyes half open. Breathing steady. Watching over the quiet rise and fall of Ayan's chest. The results would come soon. Answers would come soon. But somehow, in the stillness of that room, it felt like Cooper already knew what the doctors were just beginning to discover. And when the phone finally rang the next afternoon, everything would begin to make sense. The phone rang just after lunch. Not loudly. Not urgently. Just a simple ring. Filling the quiet kitchen. Layla dried her hands slowly before answering. "Hello?" Her voice was steady. Across the room, Cooper lifted his head. He had been lying near the back door, sunlight warming his fur. But the moment the phone rang, he stood. Not anxious. Alert. Layla listened carefully. "Yes, okay. I understand." Her shoulders softened slightly. Then she nodded. "Thank you. We'll start that right away." When she hung up, the room felt different. Not heavier. Not lighter. Just clearer. Sam stepped closer. "Well?" Layla exhaled gently. "It's mild anemia." He blinked. "That's it?" She nodded. "Early stage. Nothing serious. Just low iron levels." Sam leaned back against the counter. Relief passed quietly between them. "She said we caught it early," Layla continued. "Very early." Cooper was standing now. watching her, eyes steady, as if waiting for confirmation. Layla walked over and knelt in front of him. "You knew something wasn't right, didn't you?" Cooper tilted his head slightly, tail tapping once against the floor. Not dramatic, just present. That afternoon, Layla explained everything to Ayan in simple words. "You've just been a little low on something your body needs," she said softly. "Like when your phone battery runs low." Ayan nodded slowly. "So I just need to recharge?" She smiled. "Exactly." Cooper sat beside him the entire time. Close. Quiet. Listening to every word. The doctor had recommended iron supplements, small changes in diet, and follow-up labs in a few weeks. Nothing invasive. Nothing frightening. Just careful attention. That evening, Layla placed the small bottle of supplements on the kitchen counter. Cooper sniffed it gently, then looked at Ayan, as if approving. Dinner included spinach and lean meat, foods the doctor suggested. Ayan made a face at first. Cooper watched closely. "You're not helping," Ayan muttered playfully. But he took a bite anyway. The shift in the house was subtle. The mystery was beginning to unravel. Not in a dramatic way, but in a gentle unfolding. Later that night, as golden lamplight filled the living room, Sam sat on the couch beside Cooper. "You've been working overtime, huh?" he murmured. Cooper rested his head against Sam's knee. Relaxed, but still aware. Upstairs, Ayan brushed his teeth more slowly than usual. Layla watched him in the mirror. "How's your head?" "Better." A small smile. A small improvement. Cooper waited outside the bathroom door. As always. But tonight, there was something slightly different. His body wasn't as tense. His breathing wasn't as shallow. When Ayan climbed into bed, Cooper jumped up gently beside him. Not to guard. Just to be close. Ayan scratched behind his ears. "You weren't sad, were you?" Cooper blinked slowly, then let out a soft exhale, as if the question itself was unnecessary. Layla stood in the doorway for a moment. The bedside lamp cast a warm circle of light around them. She thought back over the week. The closeness. The watchfulness. The way Cooper pressed his nose to Ayan's wrist again and again. As if counting heartbeats. As if measuring something invisible. She remembered something the pediatrician had said during the call. Dogs can detect subtle chemical changes in the body, the doctor explained. Sometimes even before symptoms feel noticeable. Layla had paused. So, he might have sensed it? It's very possible. That word lingered now. Possible. Not magical. Not mystical. Just biological. Instinctive. Deeply connected. Downstairs, Sam turned off the lights one by one. The house settled into quiet. Upstairs, Cooper lay at the foot of Ayan's bed. Not with his chin pressed to the mattress this time. Not measuring breaths. Just resting. His body stretched out fully. Relaxed. Trusting. As if the answer he'd been waiting for had finally arrived. In the soft darkness, Ayan stirred slightly. "Good night, Cooper." A gentle tail thump answered. Layla lay awake for a few moments in her own room. Relief washed through her slowly. Not dramatic. Just steady. They had caught it early. Because they had noticed. Because Cooper had insisted. And his sleep finally pulled her under. One thought stayed with her. He hadn't been sad. He had been listening. To something deeper than mood. Something quieter than emotion. And now that the truth was known, The house felt warmer again. Lighter. As if a small shadow had quietly stepped aside. But healing takes time. And Cooper wasn't finished just yet. Morning sunlight streamed through the kitchen windows. Brighter than it had felt in days. Warmer. Ion sat at the table with a small glass of orange juice and his first iron supplement beside it. He stared at the pill for a moment. Cooper sat directly across from him, watching carefully. "It's not that big," Sam smiled. Ion sighed softly, then swallowed it with a quick gulp of juice. Cooper's ears perked. He leaned forward slightly, as if confirming the moment had happened. "There," Layla said gently. Step 1. The days that followed moved slowly. Not dramatic. Not immediate. Healing rarely is. But small changes began to appear. On the third morning, Ion woke up without rubbing his temples. On the fourth afternoon, he finished his homework without pausing halfway through. Cooper noticed each shift before anyone else did. When Ion walked across the living room with a little more bounce in his step, Cooper's tail wagged wider. When Ion laughed at something on television, a real laugh, not a tired one, Cooper barked once in response. A bright, sharp sound that hadn't been heard all week. Layla froze in the kitchen doorway. That bark felt like sunlight. Later that afternoon, Ion picked up his soccer ball. He turned it slowly in his hands. "I think I want to try," he said. Sam looked at him carefully. "You sure?" "Yeah. Just a little." They stepped into the backyard. The grass shimmered in the late daylight. Soft breeze. Quiet sky. Ion placed the ball down and gave it a gentle kick. Not strong. Not fast. But steady. Cooper chased after it immediately. Yet something had changed in him too. He wasn't guarding. He wasn't hovering. He was playing. Carefully at first. Then with growing excitement. The ball rolled back toward Ion. He kicked it again, stronger this time. And he didn't stop to catch his breath. Layla felt tears press gently at the corners of her eyes. Not from fear. From relief. Cooper ran in a wide circle around the yard, tail high, ears alert but relaxed. For the first time in days, he wasn't studying Ion's face. He was simply enjoying the moment. That night at dinner, Ion finished his entire plate. Even the spinach. "You must be feeling better," Sam smiled. "I am." The words were simple. But they carry weight. Cooper lay beneath the table again. Yet this time, his body wasn't pressed tightly against Ion's legs. There was space. Trust. Later, as golden evening light filled the living room, Ion sprawled on the floor building another block tower. Cooper walked over slowly. Studied the structure. Then nudged it gently with his nose. The tower fell. Ion laughed loudly. "Cooper!" That laugh echoed warmly through the house. It sounded different. Full. Alive. Layla leaned against the hallway wall, watching the two of them. A week ago, the room had felt heavy with quiet mystery. Now it felt open. Breathing again. That night, Cooper did something new. When Ion climbed into bed, Cooper didn't jump up immediately. He circled once on the rug near the door. Lay down. And closed his eyes. Not half open. Not watching. Fully resting. Ion noticed. "You're not guarding me anymore?" he whispered playfully. Cooper opened one eye briefly. Then closed it again. Satisfied. In the parents' bedroom, Sam spoke softly. "He seems different." Layla nodded. "He knows the balance is coming back." It sounded almost unbelievable to say out loud. But it felt true. Dogs sense patterns, energy, chemical shifts invisible to the human eye. Cooper had leaned in when something was off. Now he was slowly leaning back, trusting the process. The follow-up appointment was still weeks away, but the tension in the house had already softened. Morning routines returned to normal rhythm. Shoes tied quickly, breakfast eaten fully, backpacks packed without pauses. And every afternoon, Cooper waited by the door for Ayan to come home from school. Not with worry, with excitement. The day Ayan ran up the driveway instead of walking, Cooper barked twice. Sharp, joyful. Layla stood at the window and smiled. The turning point had arrived quietly. No dramatic moment. No sudden breakthrough. Just small, steady improvements. Like sunrise after a long gray dawn. That evening, Ayan curled up on the couch beside Cooper. "Thanks for staying with me," he said softly. Cooper rested his head against the boy's chest. Not checking. Not measuring. Just listening to the steady rhythm of a stronger heartbeat. And in that simple contact, the mystery of the past week felt beautifully resolved. But one more understanding was still waiting. A final piece of truth. About just how deeply Cooper had known. 2 weeks later, the follow-up appointment arrived. This time, the morning felt lighter. No quiet tension in the kitchen. No heavy pauses between words. Ayan tied his shoes quickly. Cooper waited by the door, tail moving in slow, relaxed sweeps. Not watchful. Just ready. In the car, sunlight flickered through the trees. Ayan talked about school. About math homework. About a friend who tripped during recess. His voice had energy again. Cooper rested calmly beside him. Eyes half closed. Peaceful. At the clinic, the same nurse greeted them with a smile. "Well, you look brighter today," she said to Ayan. "I feel brighter," he replied. The paper on the exam table crinkled again as he climbed up. But this time, Cooper didn't brace himself against the edge. He simply sat, observing. The doctor entered, reviewing the chart. "Let's check those levels," she said warmly. The blood draw was quick again. Ayan barely flinched. Cooper didn't move forward this time. He watched, but without tension. A subtle difference. After a short wait, the doctor returned. A soft smile spread across her face. Much better. Layla felt her shoulders relax fully for the first time in weeks. Iron levels are rising nicely, the doctor continued. Energy should keep improving. Ayan grinned. "I told you." Sam laughed quietly. The doctor closed the file gently. Then she glanced at Cooper. "You know," she said thoughtfully, "dogs are remarkable observers." Layla tilted her head slightly. "You think he really sensed it?" The doctor nodded. "It's very possible. Dogs can detect subtle chemical changes in the body, even shifts in scent we don't notice." She paused. Low iron can slightly alter body chemistry. To us, it's invisible. To a dog's nose, it's information. Layla looked at Cooper. He was sitting calmly, eyes soft. No tension. No urgency. Just quiet presence. So he wasn't reacting emotionally? Sam asked. "Not in the way we think," the doctor explained gently. "He likely sensed something different and stayed close because that's what bonding animals do. They respond. Respond." The words settled into Layla's heart. That was it. Cooper hadn't been sad. He hadn't been anxious. He had simply responded to imbalance. Instinct meeting love. On the drive home, Ayan leaned into Cooper again. "But I'm okay now, right?" "You are," Layla said softly. "And he knows it too." As if on cue, Cooper shifted his head and rested it comfortably on Ayan's lap. Not measuring. Not checking. Just resting. That afternoon, the house felt fully open again. Windows cracked slightly. Fresh air drifting in. Sunlight warming the floors. Ayan dropped his backpack and ran straight to the backyard. Cooper followed, but not glued to his side. He ran ahead this time, turning back playfully, inviting the chase. Sam leaned against the fence. "Feels like we're back." Layla smiled. "Better than back." She watched as Ayan kicked the soccer ball high into the air. He didn't pause afterward. Didn't press his fingers to his temples. Didn't sit down to rest. He ran. Fully. Freely. Cooper barked happily. A bright sound carried by warm wind. That evening, as golden light painted the living room once more, Ayan built another block tower on the rug. Cooper watched from a few feet away. Relaxed. When the tower grew tall and slightly crooked, Cooper approached slowly. Ayan narrowed his eyes playfully. "Don't you dare." Cooper nudged it anyway. The blocks scattered. Laughter filled the room. Full. Strong. Alive. Layla stood in the same kitchen doorway where she had once watched with uncertainty. Now, her heart was steady. The mystery had transformed into understanding. The quiet tension had become gratitude. Later that night, when Ayan climbed into bed, Cooper didn't follow immediately. He stayed downstairs for a while. Curled in his usual spot. Relaxed. Eventually, he padded upstairs and lay near the door, not right beside the bed. Close enough. But not guarding. Ayan smiled sleepily. "You trust me now?" Cooper's tail thumped softly. Trust. That was the shift. In the parents' room, Layla turned off the lamp. "I keep thinking about how small the signs were," she whispered. Sam nodded. "We might have brushed it off." But he didn't. Silence followed. Comfortable. Grateful. Down the hallway, Cooper finally closed his eyes completely. No half-watching. No quiet measuring of breath. Just deep, peaceful rest. The balance had returned. And the one who sensed the imbalance first could finally relax. But one final moment still remained. A quiet conversation. A small thank you. And the realization of just how beautiful that bond truly was. The change didn't happen all at once. It unfolded slowly. Like morning light spreading across a quiet room. Ayan began waking up before his alarm again. Not groaning. Not rubbing his eyes heavily. Just stretching. And sitting up with natural energy. Cooper noticed first. He used to lift his head cautiously each morning. Now he wagged his tail before Ayan even spoke. One bright Saturday, the sky stretched wide and blue above the backyard. Sam tossed the soccer ball gently toward Ayan. "Ready?" Ayan grinned. "Yeah." He kicked it hard this time. Stronger than he had in weeks. The ball rolled fast across the grass. Cooper bolted after it. Full speed. No hesitation. No checking back every few seconds. Just pure, joyful movement. Layla stood on the patio with her coffee. She watched the two of them run, boy and dog moving in rhythm again. Balanced. Alive. When Ayan laughed, it echoed differently now. Not thin. Not tired. Strong. Cooper barked in response. A playful, bright sound that carried across the yard. Later that afternoon, Ion helped Sam wash the car. Water splashed everywhere. Cooper darted through the spray, shaking droplets into the sunlight. Ion chased him, laughing uncontrollably. There was no heaviness left. No subtle shadow in his eyes. Only warmth. Only light. That evening, the living room glowed gold again. Just like the day everything had started. Ion sat cross-legged on the rug building another tall block tower. Cooper lay nearby, watching calmly. Not studying. Not measuring. Just present. "You're not sad anymore," Ion said softly. Cooper blinked slowly. Tail thumping once. Ion leaned forward and pressed his forehead gently to Cooper's. "Thanks for telling Mom," he whispered. Of course, Cooper hadn't spoken. He hadn't barked for attention. He hadn't created fear. He had simply stayed close. Stayed aware. Stayed connected. Layla watched from the hallway again, the same place she had stood during those uncertain days. But this time, her heart was calm. She realized something important. The signs had been small. So easy to dismiss. A little fatigue. A mild headache. Nothing dramatic. But Cooper had sensed the imbalance immediately. Not emotionally. Physically. Instinctively. And he had responded the only way he knew how. By staying. By leaning in. By refusing to drift away. That night, Ion climbed into bed with steady steps. No slow movements. No quiet sighs. He pulled the blanket up and looked toward the doorway. Cooper stood there for a moment. Watching. But this time, it wasn't protective. It was affectionate. He walked over and placed his chin gently on the mattress. Ion smiled. "I'm okay." Cooper seemed to consider that. Then he circled once on the rug and lay down comfortably near the door. Not guarding. Just resting. The moonlight filtered softly through the curtains. Silver and peaceful. Down the hallway, Layla paused outside the room. She listened to the steady rhythm of her son's breathing. Strong. Even. Normal. And she thought about how quietly love works sometimes. Not loudly. Not dramatically. But faithfully. Dogs don't explain what they sense. They don't ask permission. They simply respond. Cooper had leaned into the mystery without fear. Without hesitation. And because he did, a small imbalance had been caught early. Corrected gently. Healed fully. Back inside the bedroom, Ion whispered into the dark. "Good night, Cooper." A soft tail thump answered. And in that simple sound, the house felt completely whole again. One final understanding remained. A quiet truth about what Cooper had really known all along. The house had returned to its ordinary rhythm. Morning light. Breakfast chatter. Backpacks by the door. But something invisible had changed. Not in routine. In understanding. A week later, Ion ran up the driveway after school, backpack bouncing behind him. Cooper was already waiting at the door. The moment it opened, he didn't inspect. He didn't hover. He simply greeted him with a joyful wag and a quick spin. Balance had returned. That evening, the sky melted into soft orange and pink. Layla sat on the porch steps while Ion played in the yard. Cooper trotted beside him, playful, relaxed, free. Sam joined her quietly. "He's completely back," he said. Layla nodded. "I think Cooper knew before we did." Sam watched the dog carefully. "You really believe that?" She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she observed something simple. Ion paused to tie his shoe. Cooper stopped too, but he didn't lean in. Didn't press his nose against the boy's wrist. He simply waited. Calm. Trusting. That's the difference, Layla said softly. He's not checking anymore. Inside the house later that night, golden lamplight filled the living room once again. Ion built a tall block tower on the rug. Very tall this time. Concentrated. Careful. Cooper lay a few feet away, watching with lazy interest. When the tower finally wobbled, Cooper didn't rush to knock it over. He waited. The blocks collapsed on their own. Ion laughed loudly. Cooper barked once, playful. Not protective. Not purposeful. Just happy. Layla leaned against the doorway, remembering the first afternoon when everything felt slightly off. The quiet stillness. The subtle heaviness in the air. Cooper's steady gaze. She understood now. He hadn't been sad. He hadn't been anxious. He hadn't sensed emotion. He had sensed imbalance. Something small in Ion's body had shifted. A chemical whisper invisible to human senses. But not to him. Dogs live in a world of scent and subtle change. A world we barely notice. And when something in that world feels different, they move closer. They don't create panic. They don't dramatize. They simply stay. Later, as bedtime settled over the house, Ion brushed his teeth with sleepy energy. Cooper waited halfway down the hallway. Not guarding the bathroom door. Not pressing close. Just nearby. Ion climbed into bed and looked toward him. You knew, didn't you? He whispered softly. Cooper stepped closer. Placed his chin briefly on the edge of the mattress. Warm breath. Steady presence. Then he circled once on the rug and lay down peacefully. Not half awake. Not alert. Fully relaxed. Trust restored. From her bedroom doorway, Layla watched quietly. She realized something simple but profound. Love doesn't always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks like stillness. Like closeness. Like a dog refusing to leave a child's side, not out of fear, but out of instinctive devotion. Because sometimes, the ones who love us most notice the smallest changes first. And they lean in gently. Without needing recognition. Without asking for credit. Just responding. As the house fell into peaceful silence, moonlight filtered through the curtains. Silver and calm. Ion's breathing was steady. Strong. Even. Cooper slept deeply near the door. No quiet monitoring. No silent counting of heartbeats. His work, if you could call it that, was done. In the quiet of that room, the truth felt beautifully simple. Cooper had never been sad. He had simply known. And because he knew, everything changed.